Hi guys, so great evening everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us again on another exciting upgrade mastery just for you with Mr. Upgrade. Yes, I am Mr. Upgrade, officially now Dr. Upgrade. Thank you so very much for being here again. We do this every Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and we basically just get to share our learnings from the week, our experiences, what stood out for us, the challenges we faced, and how we're able to overcome them. Those are things that we get to actually talk about and discuss during the upgrade mastery just for you with Mr. Upgrade. How are you? How are you? How was your week? What did you do this week? What were the challenges you faced? How were you able to overcome them? Right? On the upgrade mastery just for you that we do every Friday, it's just a time for us to let our head down, just for us to just look at the week in perspective and to begin to take the learning points, take the things that really stood out for us, the things that didn't stand out for us, the examples that we can take, the things which never happened, but they did happen. Those are the things that we get to look at on the upgrade mastery just for you we missed the upgrade. So it's another Friday. Yes, and like they say, thank God it's Friday. How are you? Let's start off from there. How are you doing? Right? This technically will be we have one more Friday this month, right? So this is not the last Friday of the month. But we're getting close to the end of May, and for a fact, the month of May has been a very long month. I don't know about you, but for me, it has been a very long month. So much activity, so much things that I've been occupied with all through the month, and it has just been one hell of a ride. I don't know about you, but my May has been very, very hectic, right? From back to back activities, back to back events, back to back programs. It has just been one heck of a ride this month of May. But how was yours? That's mine. How was yours? What was it like for you? What were the things that stood out for you? What were the challenges you faced? How did you overcome those challenges? What did you learn from the things that have happened for you in this month of May? Right, these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at. And also, we're going to take a review on our belief system for the week. All the things that we shared this week, they were mind blowing. Yes, they were mind blowing. And I can't wait to share some of them with you. But before we get into that, tell me about your week. What was your week like for you? Right? What were the things that stood out for you this week? What were challenges you faced? How were you able to overcome those challenges? Just tell me, right? Just share with me how your week has been and the things that you look back and say, oh my word, thank God that the week is finally over, right? Right? What are those things that make you look back and say, finally it's all over, right? So tell me, let me know what your week has been like. Just one word to describe your week, right? Probably you want to share the whole scenarios, but just tell me one word that would just best describe your week. Is it exciting? Is it just there? Is it uneventful? Is it exhilarating? Is it frustrating? One word, like just tell me one word that can best describe how your week has been. I just want to know one word that will describe your week. One word, right? That you just know. With this word, it tells everything about my week. I just get to know. Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Said the week has been amazing. Yes, fantastic. Right, just in case you're not having an amazing week, it's all good. The week is over now. This is the weekend. Like they say, thank God it's Friday. This is the weekend, so this is time for us to sit back, relax, and then plan towards the new week, right? Because there's nothing you can do about the week that's over. Even if it's amazing, yes, we thank God for that, but then we have to plan for the new week that is coming and ensure that the new week is even more amazing than this week. So thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay, so while we wait for more feedback on how the week has been for some of us, let's look at the reviews of the belief system that we share. Now, for us here, we share a belief system session that we do Mondays through Fridays. Now, those belief systems just help us to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Right? We share it on Instagram, and then we review them here on YouTube, and then we get to share what we have for the week. This week, our conversation is on mind shift. Right? We'll talk about mind shift and why that is important for us. But before we get into mind shift, let's take a review of the belief system sessions that we had for this week. Right? Let's take a review. Now, this week we started out the week by talking about wise choice, right? Wise choice. We realize that sometimes a lot of people don't make wise choice, right? I don't know, those of you watching, can you say that all the choices you made this week have been a wise choice? Besides, what is even a wise choice? Right? Because you need to know what a wise choice is to know if you are making a wise choice. Now, we're going to talk about that and review what we shared in our belief system session for this week. I will start out by saying every day we make choices, but until we see the outcome of our choices, we can't tell if it is a wise choice or not. Right? Every day we make choices, but it is the outcome of those choices that let us know whether it was wise or not wise. Right? And why don't we look at the analogy between Lot? In scripture, Lot didn't make a wise choice when he went to Sodom. When there was that strife between Lot's servants and Abraham's servants, right? Lot chose to go to Sodom. But we saw what happened to Lot's life. Eventually, it showed that Lot did not make a wise choice in going to Sodom. Because at the time he was going to Sodom, there was already a plan that Sodom was going to be destroyed because of what they were doing in Sodom. And yet that was the time Lot was going to Sodom. Right? We went on to say that there are three simple things about wise choice. Number one, it improves your life. So how do you know it's a wise choice? It improves your life. That's how you know it's a wise choice. Number two, it influences and impacts your future. Right? You know it's a wise choice because you can see the influence and the impact that it has on your future. That's how you know it's a wise choice. And number three, it separates you from the things you would regret. Now, a wise choice will separate you from things that you would regret ultimately. Now, Lot had regrets in his latter part of his life because he ended up in a cave with his two daughters. In fact, the two daughters got him drunk and they slept with him. This was the Lord that had so many servants that his servant was striving with Abraham's servant, ending up in a cave without a wife, but just his two daughters who got him drunk and they also slept with him. So you can imagine. So we said here that the wise choice will separate you from things that you would regret. I could believe that at one point in Lot's life, he would regret his choice to have left Abraham. He could have just stayed with him. Because as long as he was with him, he was being blessed. But the moment he left, that's why we tell people always be connected to the people that you know are like source to you. They may not be God, but because of their presence in your life, you are being blessed. Potiphar noticed that about Joseph. The jailer noticed that about Joseph. Laban noticed that about Jacob. Right? So there's some people that you are just being connected to, and by virtue of your connection to them, you are being blessed. They are not God, but they play a key role in your life. And it's a wise choice to stick with them. And it's a wise choice to cut off from them. Abraham was the reason why Lot was being blessed. And the moment Lot cut off, he ended up so low. Like I say jokingly most of the time, Lot wanted to go solo and he ended up so low. Do not be like Lot, right? There are lessons to learn from Lot. Do not be like Lot. And we said your life will always reflect your choices. Your life always reflects your choices. It is in your best interest that you make a wise choice. You will always look like your choice. That's what you must realize. You will always look like your choice. Your life will always reflect your choices. Very important. Never forget that. Right? How you feel is never a factor to consider when you have to make a choice. So when it comes to making a choice, you don't think of how I'm going to feel. No, no, no. Your feelings, your sentiments, they are not a factor to consider when you have to make a choice. You must be objective when you have to make a choice, right? And we also went on to say that you may not feel good, doesn't make it a wise choice. Or you can feel bad, doesn't make it a wise choice. A wise choice is the outcome, not the feeling. You may feel good, doesn't make it a wise choice. You may feel bad, doesn't make it a wise choice. A wise choice is the outcome, not the feeling, right? And why not to say wise choice will save you from regret, guilt, and shame, even though not immediately, but ultimately. So the wise choice will save you from regret, from guilt, from shame, even though not immediately, but it will save you ultimately. And why not to say, when you don't make a wise choice, you will always have certain levels of regret. When you don't make a wise choice, you will always have certain level of regret. And then went on from that to talk about garlics and cucumbers. Now, this conversation during the week was just very interesting, you know, because no one saw this coming. Literally, you will not be thinking we'll be talking about garlics and cucumbers. Like, we are not talking about food or spices or something edible, right? But there was the reason we had to discuss garlics and cucumbers because we see that people are depicting garlics and cucumbers, right? So this was the conversation we had on garlics and cucumbers. We said garlics and cucumbers are not just edibles, something you eat, but they are toxic past that you recall and you wish to get back to. Garlics and cucumbers are not just edibles, but they are toxic past you recall and you wish to get back to. You see, in the ancient text, when the children of Israel left Egypt, they always remembered the garlics and the cucumbers. When they were in the wilderness and they were crying for meat, they said, "Oh, in Egypt we had garlics and cucumbers. What is manna? What is this?" Now, there are three simple things about garlics and cucumbers. Number one, they are hurtful past. Your garlics and your cucumbers, they are hurtful past. Number two, they are traumatic experiences. They are traumatic experience. Like these are things that cause you trauma. Those are your garlics and cucumbers. And number three, they can keep you stuck from making progress. You see, the children of Israel were now in the wilderness, far away from slavery, far away from the Egyptians, yet they were still thinking about the garlics and the cucumbers in Egypt. That's the situation. That's the sad part. You see, sometimes the past may look more interesting than the present, but it's all garlics and cucumbers. Have you seen the people who wish for the good old days? Oh, I wish, oh, we could go back in time. We could go back to when 1 naira was $1. Those are garlics and cucumbers. That's the truth. Someone say, oh, the past was better than now, the good old days. Whenever somebody mentions the good old days, just remind yourself those are garlics and cucumbers. People who miss their ex, and oh, I wish I was with my ex. That's garlic and cucumbers. Because there's no way your past should be better than your present or your future. There's no way. There is no way. Your past should be better than your present and future. There's no way. They are all garlics and cucumbers. He said, until you recognize that your past is past, you will never let go of garlics and cucumbers. Until you recognize that your past is past, you will never let go of it. You keep holding on to it. You keep going back to it. We said here that those people who return to their vomit are the best examples of garlics and cucumbers. You see some people in a relationship, they say, no, I will leave him. I will never go back to him. 2 weeks later, they are back again. Scripture calls those people dogs that return back to his vomit. Those people are the best description of garlics and cucumbers. The truth is, if the children of Israel had their way, they would have gone back to Egypt. Why? Garlics and cucumbers. And we said here that your past does not equate the future. Your past does not equate the future. So stop wishing for your garlics and cucumbers. And finally, we wrapped it up by saying, stop comparing manna to garlics and cucumbers because they cannot be compared. You see, you can only compare things that can be compared. You can't compare garlics and cucumbers with manna. Even in the wilderness, manna was a fruit freshly baked that came down from heaven. You can't compare that to garlics and cucumbers. Right? So this was to help us understand the need for stop comparing yourself, your past, with your present or your future. Because your past does not equate your future. Your past may have been traumatic, may have been very bad, may have been very sad, but trust me, you have a bright future. You have a bright future. So there's no need going back to garlics and cucumbers. No need, right? So from there, we moved on from that during the week, and we talked about what do you see? Now, this was important for us to have this conversation because sometimes you will become what you behold. You become what you see. So what do you see? Do you see possibilities? Do you see opportunities? Or do you see lack? Or do you see scarcity? What do you see? God asked Abraham when Lot had left him, what do you see? And he said, as far as your eyes can see, will I give to you. And I always tell people at that point, literally, Abraham saw the whole world. So it comes back to what do you see? What do you see? And now in this conversation, we said sometimes you cannot feature in the future you did not picture. So what do you see? You cannot feature in a future you did not picture. So what do you see? And we said here that God asked Jeremiah in scripture, and he says, what do you see? Jeremiah said, I see a rod of an almond tree. And God said, you have seen well. You have seen well. Now, this lets us to know that there are three simple reasons about what do you see. Number one, it determines what you aspire for. What you cannot see, you cannot aspire for. Let's say you are in school. You don't see people who have all A's. It can make you aspire to want to have all A's. Right? Let's say you're doing a business. You don't see people who are making profit from that business. It does not aspire you to want to do that business. Right? You don't see a good marriage. It doesn't inspire you to want to have a good marriage. So it comes down to what do you see? Right? What do you see? Three simple reasons about what do you see. Number one, it determines what you aspire for. So it's what you see that helps you to aspire for more based on what you've seen. Number two, it ensures you don't settle for less. What you see helps you to not settle for less because you have seen it. That this was possible for one, it is possible for you. So it helps you not to settle for less. Number three, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. What you see pushes you out because you've seen it that's possible for someone, so you are encouraged to do more, knowing that it's also possible for you. And went on to say that you cannot become what you have not first seen. So, what do you see? What you see influences how you think, believe, speak, and act. What you see, it influences how you think, believe, speak, and act. And went on to say, when you see abundance, it will be hard for you to continue to be in lack. And we said there are things that you see that just help you to change your perspective in life. The things that you see, just seeing them just changes your perspective in life. And finally, whatever you have not seen, you will not see. So, what do you see? Whatever you have not seen in your mind's eye, you will not see with your physical eyes. So, what do you see? Ellen Keller says that the worst form of disability is to have eyes, is to have sight without vision. Remember Helen Keller, she was born blind, right? She said the worst form of disability is to have sight or no vision. Though Helen Keller was without sight, but she had great vision for her life. And she became renowned in her lifetime. It comes down to what do you see? What do you see? And we moved on from that conversation on what do you see during the week, and we opened the box of mind shift, right? We opened the box of mind shift because it was important that we had a mind shift. Now, what do you see led up to mind shift? You see, everything we talk about in the belief system, it just builds on the next. We started out the week by talking about wise choice, and I'll move on to garlic and cucumbers because that also reflects your choice of wanting to go back to your past. And then I'll move on to what do you see, because if you cannot see your future, you always want to go back to your past. And then we'll move on to mind shift. So it's time for you to have a mind shift, and then we'll conclude the week by talking about why you need a mind shift. So let's talk about mind shift first, right? We said until you experience a mind shift, your mind will continue to be where it should not be. Until you experience a mind shift, your mind will continue to be where it should not be. And we said in scripture, we're encouraged to renew our mind. That's the mind shift, to renew your mind. The process of renewing the mind is where the mind shift occurs, right? We went on to say there are three simple things about mind shift. Number one, it elevates your thinking, your beliefs, and your behavior. The mind shift. For instance, I just got to discover during this week that from 1984 to date, the LGBTQ have invested over $100 billion for the agenda. $100 billion. That's a big mind shift, knowing that these guys didn't come to play. So while you are still joking what you're doing, some people are heavily invested in an agenda in the tunes of $100 billion. That's mind shift. That's mind shifting already. Right? Three simple things about mind shift. Number one, it elevates your thinking, your beliefs, and your behavior. Number two, it changes your perspective and your paradigm. The mind shift changes your perspective and your paradigm. So for me, that information just lets me know that these guys are very, very serious with their agenda, because they say put your money where your mouth is. They put their money on that agenda. That's a huge mind shift for a huge cultural shift. And that's what you're seeing now, that it's becoming a norm. the LGBTQ agenda. It's becoming a norm. Why? It started with a mind shift that has led to a culture shift. And we went on to say it is needed from time to time. It's needed that from time to time you have a mind shift. It's very needed that you have a mind shift. Now, we said here that your life purpose must be bigger than simply becoming famous, rich, or powerful. If these are the fuel of your life, you will always be running on empty. That's a mind shift. Your life purpose must be more than just being famous, rich, or powerful. If that's the fuel that runs your life, you will always be on empty. That's a mind shift. We wanted to say there is no level of success that will give you meaning to your life. If you do not already have meaning to your life, all that you attain in life will have no meaning. So it's not success that gives you meaning. It is the meaning you have that gives you success. Right? We wanted to say you will achieve everything you've ever wanted and still feel as if you have nothing. You must live for more. That's a mind shift. You must live for more. We went on to say that make room for things that make you better. Make room for things that make you better. Be ruthless in eliminating everything that is not a reflection of your best self. Be ruthless in eliminating everything that is not reflection of your best self. So make room for things that make you better. Make room for them. And why not to say that be extravagant with hope. You cannot break a person who refuses to give up hope. Hope is the magic beyond optimism. And that's why we tell people never give up hope. And I always say this that where there is hope, there is life. Not where there is life, there is hope. Where there is hope, there is life. And having a mind shift just helps you to continue to have hope. And finally, we went on to talk about why you need a mind shift. Why do you need a mind shift? And we said one experience or encounter can be the mind shift that you need to elevate and upgrade your life forever. Just one experience, just one encounter can be the mind shift that you need to elevate and upgrade your life forever. You see, in the ancient text, Jacob had a dream, and in that dream, he saw a ladder from heaven to earth, and angels were descending and ascending. Right? And then he woke up and saw that it was a dream. And he said, oh, the Lord has been in this place, and I did not know it. You know, in that encounter, you see, there was a stairway on the ground, and it reached all the way to the sky. The angels of God were going up and coming down. Then God was right before him, saying, I am the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. I'm giving the ground on which you are sleeping to you and to your descendants. Your descendants will be as the dust of the earth. They will stretch from west to east and from north to south. All the families of the earth will bless themselves in you and your descendants. Yes, I will stay with you. I will protect you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this very ground. I will stick with you until I have done everything I promised you. Now, that is the mind shift for Jacob. That's the mind shift. You know, when Jacob woke up, he said, God is in this place, truly, and I didn't even know it. He was terrified. He whispered in awe, incredible, wonderful, holy. This is God's house. This is the gate of heaven. Jacob at that point had a mind shift. You see, three simple reasons why you need a mind shift. Number one, it helps you see things differently. It helps you see things different. Number two, it leaves you hungry for growth. When you have a mind shift, it leaves you to be hungry for growth. Number three, it doesn't leave you the same way it met you. I went on to say, I went on to say that you need a mind shift because you cannot continue to settle for less when you can be more. You cannot continue to settle for less when you can be more. And then when your mind shifts, it is like the elastic. When stretched, it never returns back the same. It's like the elastic. When stretched, it never returns back the same. Right? Sometimes a mind shift is what you need to realize that there is more to your life and you are still scratching the surface. Sometimes when you have a mind shift, you just realize that there is more to your life and you are still scratching the surface. And finally, we wrapped up to say that you can't say it was a mind shift when your mind didn't actually shift and your life changes. You cannot say it was a mind shift when your mind did not actually shift and your life changes. And went on to say that when the mind shifts, there's always an upgrade and lift to your life. As the mind shifts, there's an upgrade and there's a lift to your life. So, guys, that was the review from our belief system session for the week, right? And I hope that this review has been helpful. So, let's get into the conversation on mind shift. Mind shift, right? Mind shift. So, those of you that are still here, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate this. I'm super grateful. Do well to share the link with your friends. Do well to subscribe, turn on post notification, and do well to ask a question if you have any question that's bothering you, right? Because today we get to take questions a lot, right? So if you have any questions, anything on your mind that's bothering you, even outside of what we're talking about, you can just drop your question in the comment section, and I'll gladly also take your questions, right? So those of us who are still here, please put some fire in the comment section so I know that you're here and you're following. Put some fire in the comment section so I know that you're here and you are still following our conversation. So let's talk about mind shift. MINDSHIFT. Mind shift. And we've talked about mind shift itself and why you need a mind shift. So let's just break it down. And so everybody can get to understand this conversation. Now, the M in mind shift is a message. Every mind shift begins with a message. So you see, when Jacob was having that dream where he saw the stairway that went to heaven, angels ascending and descending, right? Then he heard God speak to him and said, I am God. I will be with you. I will give this land to you and your descendants. Your descendants will be spread across the earth from the east to the west, from the north to the south, right? There is always a message that accompanies the mind shift, which means when you encounter or experience a mind shift, it comes through a message. Either a message being said to you, either the message you're listening to, something just comes in the form of a message and it shifts your mind completely. Jacob had a message from God while he had that vision of angels ascending and descending. Then he got the message. Right? Now, for you as a person, you may be in a conversation with somebody and you hear something and that shifts your mind. That's the message. Every mind shift begins with the message, it begins with the information that you hear. Right? It begins with the message that you hear. That's what shapes your mind. And like, oh wow, this is possible. You know, in the other text that we read earlier about Jeremiah, God asked Jeremiah, what do you see? What do you see? And Jeremiah said, I see the rod of an almond tree. And God said, you have seen well. It always starts with a message. Every mind shift begins with a message. It begins with a message. Now, the I in mind shift is inspire. Now, that message that you get now inspires you. That's why the mind shift. So it now inspires you to know, wow, this is possible. Oh, I can be able to do this. It inspires you, right? Now, every mind shift has something that it inspires. So you suddenly just realize that you can be more. You suddenly just realize that you can do better for yourself. You suddenly just realize that you should not settle for less. It inspires. Every mind shift inspires. The reason why it is a mind shift in the first place is because of the inspiration that it brings. You know, sometimes when you hear some messages, they're just inspired to know that there's so much possibilities for your life. There's so much that you can do with your life. There's so much that you can become, you can have, you can do. You have been inspired. That's the mind shift. Just think, oh, somebody can get XYZ. That inspires you to know that if it is possible for one, it is possible for another. It's a mind shift that has inspired you. Right? So you must see this, that the mind shift always comes with inspiration. So you see somebody who's doing a podcast and the podcast is successful. That's the mind shift to let you know that it's also possible that you can do a podcast and it will be that successful. It inspires. So every mind shift inspires. That's why the mind shift, that's why you can shift your thought process because it's inspiring. Those of you watching this right now, you could know, you can just realize that there are some people's lives you have just seen and that inspired you. That's the mind shift. Knowing that, oh, this was possible for this, is possible for me. It inspires. Right? The M in mind shift is the message. So every mind shift begins with a message. The I in mind shift is that it inspires. So the message is not just a message that is just there, but the message that inspires, that you look at it and you know, oh, I can run with this. You look at it and you know, oh, I can do this. You look at it and say, no, I should no longer settle for less. That is a mind shift because it inspires. Right? The N in the mind shift is a necessity. The truth is this, it's a necessity that you have a mind shift from time to time. You know why? Because sometimes you get so comfortable in your comfort zone. But it's when you leave your comfort zone, you now realize that, wow, I have been limiting myself all this while. You now realize that, oh, I can do more. So it's of necessity that you have a mind shift. Because the truth is this, sometimes we adapt to smallness instead of us to stretch for greatness. I'll say that again. Somebody please write that down. Many times we adapt to smallness instead of us to stretch for greatness. You have a friend that we get to do a little bit of business, and sometimes I tell the person, like, don't you think you can do more for this business? Don't you think you can do more for this business? Why am I doing this? It's of necessity that I help that friend to stretch. Because if I don't help the friend to stretch, the friend would adapt to smallness when the friend can stretch to greatness. That's where it's of necessity that you have mind shift from time to time. And I've literally watched this friend in this business grow because of the frequent mind shift that I inject in, that is of necessity for the friend and the business. So I remember when the friend literally started, Ken just started a while back, and I was like, okay, and gave brought the mind shift. Don't you think you can expand your business? Don't you think you can invest more in your business? Don't you think this and this will help more in the business? I would do it for the first few months, and I came back again. Remember, I told you it's of necessity that you have mind shift. It's okay. Don't you think you can stretch again? And after a few months, I came back again. Don't you think you can stretch again? Why? Because if you don't of necessity have mind shift, you would adapt to smallness instead of you to stretch for greatness. So this is where things begin to change for you. Because for some people, they adapt to smallness instead of them to stretch for greatness. Why? Because they don't, from time to time, have the necessity of a mind shift. So see, the reason why you attend programs, the reason why you attend events is because it helps a mind shift for you. Just seeing the possibilities when you attend is giving you that mind shift. So it's of necessity that you put yourself in situations and in environments where you can experience mind shift from time to time. Right? They say the sixth person in the midst of five billionaires is the sixth billionaire in disguise. Why? Because that five billionaires that the sixth person is associating with is giving him mind shift. It's giving mind shift. So you just know that, oh, this is possible for me too. That's why they say, show me your friend and I can predict your future. Show me your friend and I can predict your future. So it's of necessity that you have mind shift. So you don't adapt to smallness. I keep saying this. Don't adapt to smallness. Because the moment you adapt to smallness, you will not stretch for your greatness. That's the problem. A lot of people have adapted to smallness. And that's why they cannot stretch for greatness. See, guys, this is very important for you. It's of necessity that from time to time you have mind shifts. Go for that seminar, take that course, pay for that program. It's of necessity that you have that mind shift. Because until you do, guess what? You will be adapting to smallness. And you know, the human being is a very highly adapting machine. It's always adapting. Human being is always adapting. So you no longer need to adapt to smallness. That's why it's of necessity that you have mind shift. So you can stretch for greatness. The D in mind shift is debt. And you're wondering, what kind of debt is this? The same kind of debt, you know, except a corn of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it abides alone. But when it dies, it brings forth much fruit. Now, why am I saying this? When you have a mind shift, guess what? There are some things that will die. There are some things that will die. There are some things that will die. There are some relationships that will die. There are some associations that will die. When you have a mind shift, there must be some level of death that takes place when you have a mind shift. Why? Because some things cannot remain the same when you've had a mind shift. You know, like the prodigal son, he came to himself and says, no, 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 I can't continue like this. I need to die to feeding with swine. I need to die to taking care of swine. I need to die to it. There's some things that needs to die when you are encountering a mind shift. You just realize that, come on, I can't be in this friendship. I can't. I need to walk away. I need to leave. Some things just needs to die. So the D in mind shift is death. When you encounter or experience a mind shift, some things will naturally have to be killed. Your discipline, your intentionality, your excellence. Those are the ways you kill things. You kill your mediocrity, you kill your laziness, you kill your excuses. Some things just have to die. Some things just have to die. And there's no going back on it. Some things just have to die. It's a mind shift. It's a mind shift. It's a total mind shift. So the D in mind shift is death. You watching this right now, you know that there are some things that you need to let die. There's some friendships you need to let die. There's some associations you need to let die. There's some contacts you need to delete. Some things need to die for your mind shift. Some things need to die. Your laziness needs to die. Your procrastination needs to die. Your excuses need to die. Some things needs to die because you're having a mind shift. Some things just need to die. And then the S in the shift is start. Sometimes when I talk with people, I always tell them, I say, well, if I'm going to work with you as a client, I always ask you to do the diagnosis, the upgrade diagnostics, which will cost you about $50, right? And when you do the diagnosis, there's one of the questions you're gonna answer is what three things do you need to stop? What three things do you need to stop? What three things do you need to start? And what three skills do you need to learn? Now, I said what you need to stop first because if you don't stop some things, the things you do not stop will stop the things you are trying to start. That's why Jesus said, except a corn of wheat falls to the ground and dies first, it will abide alone. But when it dies, it brings forth much fruit, which means before you start some things, there are some things you need to first stop. Otherwise, what you are starting will be stopped by the things you did not stop. So in mind shift, because some things have died, there are some things that you need to now start. So the S in shift is start. So because you have a mind shift, there's some things you need to start. There's some actions you need to start. There's some places you need to go. There's some people you need to see. Why? The mind shift, because some things just needs to start. Because trust me, until you start, you never know what's possible. That's just the truth. Until you start, you never know what's possible. Everything will look impossible until you start. A lot of things will look impossible for you until you start. So until you start, you never know what is possible. And mind shift help you to start. I don't know what this leads, but I'm going to start. I'm going to start. They said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step in the right direction. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. So the S in mind shift is start. Right? There was a poem back in the day that the title "Start Something That Matters." But start. Start. David Bowden was the author of the poem. You can Google it. David Bowden. Start something that matters. You need to start. You need to start. Right? The S in shift is start. So when you have a mind shift, there's something that starts in you. There's something that is ignited. There's something that begins. Right? The H in mind shift is hunger. Now that you started, there's this hunger to continue. There's this hunger to fire on. Because it's not enough to start. There must be hunger for continuity. There must be hunger for sustenance. And the truth is this, nobody can teach you how to be hungry. You need to find your hunger. And mind shift gives you that hunger to know that you can be better, you can be more. You should not settle for less. There's more to your life. There's this hunger that mind shift gives. Knowing that you can be better than this. Knowing that there is more to your life. Then that this is just scratching the surface of your life. There's the hunger, right? There's the hunger. So the H in mind shift is hunger. And I often tell clients that I can teach you anything, but I cannot teach you how to be hungry. Only you have to find your hunger. I cannot teach you how to be hungry. I cannot teach you how to be hungry. Only you have to find your hunger. So the H in mind shift is hunger. What are you hungry for? What is the hunger that you have? What is the hunger? Right? And then the I in mind shift is intentional. When it comes to mind shift, you are intentional. You are intentional. You are not dilly dallying. You are not leaving things to chance. You are intentional. You are not working on assumption. You are intentional. Mind shift gives you intentionality of your life, of your goals, of what it is that you want to become. You are just intentional, right? Even the prodigal son was intentional to become a servant. He didn't say, I was going to just beg for help. No, no, no. I want to be a servant because I know the benefit that the servants have. He was intentional. He was intentional. He didn't become the man who was begging for alms. No, no, no. He was intentional. I will go back to my father. I will ask to become a servant. He was intentional. So when you have a mind shift, it gives you a sense of intentionality. You know what you want to do. The four lepers at the city, outside the city gates, said, "Why sit we here and die?" That was the mind shift for them. They were intentional. Why sit we here and die? If we sit here, we will die. If we go to the enemy's camp, we will die. So why don't we die trying? Why don't we die trying? And the moment they left, guess what? God caused the sound of their feet to be like the sound of a marching army. By the time they got to the enemy's camp, the camp was empty. All the enemies had fled. But you see, the four lepers, they were intentional. They said, "Why sit we here and die?" A mind shift gives you intentionality. It gives you intentionality, right? And then the F in the mind shift is focus. You just know what you are focused on. See, the four lepers didn't say they were going to just take a stroll. They were going to the enemy's camp. They were focused. They were going to the enemy's camp. They didn't say, "Okay, let's just stroll around Israel. Let's just stroll around." No, no, no. They were focused. They were going to the enemy's camp. A mind shift helps you with your focus. You just know what you should focus on now. It's just like when scales fall off your eyes. You just come to the awakening of the truth. You come to the awakening of the reality, and you know what you should be focused on at this point. You know, they say the children of Issachar, they had an understanding of the times and they knew what Israel ought to do. They were focused. They had a mind shift. You see, the mind shift actually helps you to be focused. It helps you to be focused, right? Your mind shift helps you to be focused. So you are not distracted. You're not like Martha who's busy about so many things. But you are like Mary, you are undistracted. You are undistracted. So the mind shift helps you to focus. You now know what it is that you want and how to go about it. You're focused. And finally, the T in mind shift is truth. Every mind shift starts with the message that ends with the truth. I love that. Every mind shift starts with the message and ends with the truth. So the truth is the essential core of a mind shift because of the truth you have now received, because of the truth that you now know. It shifts your mind completely. It shifts your mind completely. So you're not believing a lie. because you are holding on to the truth. Guys, this is exactly what mind shift is all about. Nothing more, nothing less. This is what literally mind shift is about the message that inspires as of necessity, that brings death to some things, that helps you start up some things, that gives you hunger for those things you've started, that makes you intentional about those things you are hungry of and you've started, that helps you to focus on the things you're intentional of and the things you are hungry for, and also helps you to know truth. This, my friend, is what mindship is about. Right? This is what mindship is about. It's about the fact that there's the message, there's the message that inspires, there's the necessity that you learn and have that message, there's the necessity that those things that needs to die experience death in your life. Also, the things that need to start, there's the hunger you need to have to continue and to sustain it. You must be intentional, you must be focused, and you must know truth. This is what mind shift is all about. This is what mind shift is all about. When people are talking about mind shift, they're literally what they are talking about. The message that inspire, that's of necessity, that brings death, that help you start, that helps you hunger, that helps you stay intentional, that help you focus, and that it is truth. This is what mind shift is all about. This is what mind shift is all about. So, guys, let's take a few questions before we call this a wrap. Someone says thumbs up. That was a clap. Thank you so much for the applause. Thank you so much for the applause. Someone says this is amazing. This is amazing. Yes, I know this is amazing. I know. Thank you. I know. Thank you. But this is what mindset is about, and this is why it's important that every one of us undergo mind shift. Because trust me, you can think that what you're doing is the best there is until you encounter a mind shift and you realize that you are still in kindergarten, or what you thought was already a tertiary. You are still in kindergarten. So there's still so much more that you can be, have, and do. Right? The BHD. There's so much more that you can be, have, and do. But that begins when you have a mind shift. Like I said, the mind shift shifts your perspective, it shifts your paradigm, it shifts you completely. The mind shift literally changes everything for you and everything about you. So when you encounter a mind shift, you never remain the same. Bruh, you never remain the same. Something changes about you completely when you have a mind shift. You do not remain the same. There is a change that happens to you when you have a mind shift. There's no one who had experienced or encountered a mind shift that remained the same. No one. Even through scripture, no one. There's always that change that happens when someone experiences a mind shift. So, guys, my prayer for you in this month of May and in the coming months that you will encounter a mind shift, either through our training, either through our podcast, whatever it is, you would encounter a mind shift and you would see of a truth all that I have been saying. Because anyone who encounters a mind shift, the life never remains the same. The life actually shifts. That's the truth. Anyone who encounters the mind shift, the mind and the life actually shifts. It never remains the same. Never. It never remains the same. So, guys, let's take a few questions before we call this a wrap up today. If you have a question, please use the comment section, type in a question. And also, if you watch the replay of this and you have a question, also use the comment section and we will reply to your question. Because trust me, this is why we're here, to help you to get better, to help you to upgrade your life. Guys, Like we always say, 3 things will happen for you in this new week. But hey, that's the upgrade life. But remember, guys, this is always true. Remember, there's always more on the upgrade side of life. That's why we encourage you to always leave good behind so that you can upgrade. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.